Football then and now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.
This is episode 58. This is the final episode. Obviously, we've been looking at our final week. The senior team, the Everton team at Goodison Park, of course. It's been a great week. And we obviously spoke, didn't we, Chris, previously about doing the tour. We went on the tour last Wednesday. Amazing. Now, this has been quite tough because the subject matter today is matches. And we've been so many times to the Grand Old Lady, of course. So we've selected a few. Like you said, we'll probably bring others up depending on time and stuff like that. And I want to go chronological with it, of course, because it's you picked a good one. And I'd forgotten about us going to this. And it was us beating Fulham in 2004, 2005. As you can see there, Dunk with the finish. And we won 1-0. And you wanted to talk about it because we were there in attendance. If I remember rightly, we were in the lower Bullens for this one. And you wanted to talk about this game, man.
I just obviously because 2004 was a special year, wasn't it? We sold Rooney, we lost to Arsenal. It was all a bit of doom and gloom, wasn't it? And the second game in, Gravison turned up and absolutely was fantastic all the way till January, Stuart, pretty much, wasn't he? And Arteta came in. And we really pushed for the fourth spot, which, if I'm honest, Stu, with the squad that David Moyes had, and obviously losing Rooney, we didn't get to spend much. I think we bought two players in, which was Marcus Bent and Tim Cahill. Both were fantastic that season. Obviously, more so Tim Cahill, as he carried on through the seasons, he's very pinnacle headers. Stuart, we all know when I say Tim Cahill and headers. Just that's our mate Dan Hughes absolutely hated him back in those days. But I chose that game, Stu, because it was pivotal. And I think Liverpool were quite close to catching with us. And it was one of those games where we were in control, like we are normally. And we just literally couldn't make the breakthrough. And I think it was like, as you say, I think it was like it said there, 68th minute. So we come into the last 20 minutes of the game. Duncan Ferguson's been a super sub all season, hasn't he? He come on and scored goals, and I think he's the most prolific sub that season in the entire Premier League, which is fantastic. He also retired last game of the season against West Brom, and he scored that penalty. And I remember him saying that his legs were gone, and that's why the penalty was so poor. But there's something that he was always good at, and one of the only few players to ever score a hat-trick with a header. And it's done, and he pulled that one out of the bag. I remember it was like a whipped in. Was it a corner? Oh, I don't know actually. I think it was. So long ago. But I remember the goal going in, and we all going, ballistic as always. And it was just a massive moment that kept the push going. This push at that point we didn't know was obviously going to end up in finishing fourth. Probably the only team to finish fourth, still on a -1 goal difference.
It was how tight Moisey had this. The age of the 1-0, the 2-1 if we won. That was what we were typified on that. That was how we did it. But again, I think I was reading about it as well. Dunk, a lot of people were saying, I went on the BBC Sport website, they got the old article about this, and people were saying in the comments, give Dunk another year. Off the back of this, when he came on as a sub and scored, they were like, he needs another year extension onto his contract. And just obviously his book's come out. We've been listening to it. Yeah, my God, has he done some promotion? He's everywhere.
He's been everywhere.
It's been great. And I've heard fans from other clubs. I think it's Liverpool fans. Club legend. He didn't win anything. Yeah, but he was beloved.
Did he win the FA Cup?
Yeah, he was beloved. So I was like, well, we'll gauge it on that passion. You know what I mean? You can be a club legend based on passion, can't you? Surely,
They hold on. They had to go. Us were booing Anthony Gordon, and didn't Jamie Carragher pull us out on it? And they were booing Alexander Arnold. So you know what I mean? Pot kettle black there, Red fans. I'd also obviously go about this season because obviously, like I say, it was a special season. We finished fourth, and Duncan was right in there in the mix with a lot of games. Your birthday, Stu, Man United, that diving header. The header against Norwich when we were 2-0 up, we gave the 2-0 away, and all of a sudden he came in with the header, made it 3-2 away, and Norwich just got promoted. And we never really, we always seem to have a problem with promoted teams, don't we, when we play away to them. And again, he was there. Again, Fulham, Birmingham, Stewart, when we were 1-0 down, last minute he gets a goal after the United game. And people saying he should have had an extra contract. But as he said at the end of the West Brom game, in the final game of the season, his legs were gone. I think he put so much in, the pushes to finish fourth, that I think that's all he had left. But he disappeared from the game, didn't he, for a fair few years, and then he came back as our coach, and he made his way through the coaching side in the club, and he's been the manager.
We went up to third after this game. This win against Fulham, we were up to third off the back of it. So it was just incredible what they were able to achieve, and it was just a fantastic season. Moyes' best season, of course, on record. But we were used to being top 7, weren't we, with Moyes? There was a couple of iffy years, which is understandable. He was there for so long, but for the most part, we were punching, played as a team, did it with minimal funds. I know money in the game now is a lot higher, but even back then, he was able to get players in on the cheap. Like you've said before, we went for players from lower divisions as well.
Yeah,
that was a thing. He was really good at that. We've spoken about Nigel Martyn in goal. The precursor to Tim Howard coming in. We got him on a free. He was absolutely brilliant. Like probably an unsung hero, Nigel Martyn at the time. His years of experience. Yeah. It was shrewd business. We were so good. We were hard to beat. Teams hated coming to Goodison. Alex Ferguson said how tough it was. He even says it now. It was a bear pit at times, and just amazing. I just want to move us along to a game we went to in 2012, the opening game of the 2012-2013 season, and it was us playing Man United, of course, a 1-0 victory. I'm just going to put a graphic in right now. There he is, Marouane Fellaini, who went on to go and play for United. He left after this, the following season, of course. It was Robin van Persie's first game after signing from Arsenal. Not a great start at all. What a header from Marouane Fellaini. We were in the Park End, weren't we, for this? And what a fantastic atmosphere, an absolutely fantastic game. I look back on this one fondly.
He bossed it, though, didn't he, Fellaini, in that whole game? He hit the post as well. He bossed it. He was everywhere. I think Van Persie started on the bench as well, though, didn't he, in this game? And he came on afterwards. But we were just absolutely brilliant. We were all over United. We didn't give them really anything to sniff at all. We pretty much piled on the pressure. And, as always, Stu, it's a header, isn't it? And another big man. I think people don't recognise when Fellaini played for Everton, not so much for United, because obviously we're talking about Everton here. In that middle, and playing in that 10, and he, sometimes instead of Tim Cahill, when Cahill wasn't fit, or they'd play together and one would play up front. He was brilliant, Stu. I thought he was good on the ball. He was a good passer. He did make mistakes, but he was still young at the time. But there was passion in it. He did love playing for Everton, and he said it since, hasn't he? He has come out and said he loved Everton, but you're not going to turn down an opportunity to play for Man United. That's fair enough. And we got good money for him, and we didn't lose Leighton Baines, which I think was more important at that point in time. And he bossed that whole game. And I remember, when we were sitting there loving it, United fans, as you could see from Park End to the right hand side of you. Threatening everyone, and just you do, because you're peed off, loved it. I remember Gary even giving him shit, which is weird because he's always the calm guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, besides watching it at your house when we were younger, but that's a different story. But it was absolutely brilliant, and one of the very few times you probably could get tickets on opening the first game of the season under the lights. Sitting in Park End. Against Manchester United, I just think you pull the blinder there, because if you look at it now, you would never get anywhere near it.
It's been a nightmare since the Villa game. It's from January. I don't want to make it about Goodison. We've obviously spoken about it on Wednesday, but just to say, it's been an absolute nightmare. But again, the people who have gone, year on year. They've had season tickets for so many years. They deserve to be there. I'm not disputing that, but it's been very difficult from January onwards. I could have got tickets earlier on in the season. There was various times and I left it. It was a mistake on my end. I apologised for that. But like you say, just going back to your earlier point there, we went to the derby this season as well, didn't we? The 2-2, which was just amazing. We could get tickets, like we were members, and we were able to get tickets. It was amazing. We were up in the Upper Gladys for that. But going back to this game, night games just had that vibe, didn't they? And a lot of the times we went in the winter, didn't we? In the cold times. This was like August, so it was nice and warm.
Yeah.
There's been so many games where we've been freezing our, bollocks off.
So hopefully free pair of socks to go to the game.
It was nice. It was nice going to this one in 2012 because it was obviously nice and warm, and then throwing beer bottles over the fence into Anfield. Yeah.
We're not hooligans, by the way. We had a few drinks, a few too many, but we're on a high. I think there was Sam Donegan's going back to yours, wasn't he? And you were like, "Oh, shut up, Sam." Obviously, we grabbed them from the boot. We didn't have a bottle opener, and me being half cut, I was using my teeth to open them up for you.
Yeah, I got you to open them, and you were like, "Hold on a minute." Yeah, I'll do it. You were a bit hesitant. You'd done one. I was like, "Can you do mine?" Yeah, I'll do it. Like bloody on my teeth.
Oh no, it was a good experience, and as we obviously spoke on Wednesday about Goodison and experiences, this was massive. I think this is one of our only under the lights on opening day. We have been to opening games of the season before, but this one, like you said, it was special.
Amazing.
And it was David Moyes' last season. But then this was a really good season as well. I think we finished 6th this season. I'm not sure. Yeah, 6th or 5th this season. And it was brilliant. And that's something I obviously forgot when you said, Stu, and I think I've still got the game on my hard drive somewhere.
Have you?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. I tell you what, mate, it was everything about it. We've said about our rituals before going to the game and stuff like that. We'd stop off at McDonald's in Queens Ferry.
Oh, yeah.
Stop off, do that. It's always, we've always done that. Some people say, do you not go to the pub round by the ground? We always got in the ground, didn't we? Some people are like, you haven't gone into the Wilmslow, you haven't gone into the Spello like before. And no, it wasn't.
We drink on the way there, though, don't we?
Yeah. And we'd be in the ground. So, but you don't go to the ground straight away. But everyone had different ways of doing it, and that's absolutely
what we've always done. Yeah,
that's absolutely fine.
Stanley Park, Stu. Don't forget that in the old bush.
Yeah. When it was all, nobody could see, and now it's all been cut away. So I mean, you don't want to be getting caught out doing that, do you? Let's be honest. But back then, that's what everyone did. That's what everyone did. And again, just two fantastic games there. It was great bringing up that Fulham game. I totally forgot about us going to it. So that was brilliant. Really, really good. And 3 years ago, pretty much to the day now, we went to the final home game of the 2021-2022 seasons, of course, knowing we had Arsenal away in the last game. We were panicking, thinking we could potentially get relegated, and it was against Crystal Palace. It couldn't have gone any worse to begin with. We went 2-0 down at half-time. As you can see, there's Richie. What a turnaround. Frank Lampard, he had his detractors, but on that evening, to get us out of the proverbial crap as he did, we feared the worst, didn't we, at half-time, being 2-0 down, mate?
Yeah, I remember like yourself, because it was me, you, and Gary, wasn't it? And we obviously got lagers and in the turnstiles, and remember we saying like we need to make a change, and I think we all, not knowing how well this player was going to come on and change the game, and that's probably the only game we'll be thankful of him for. But it was like I remember saying to you after just as we were going up to the seat, sit down again, and it was, I think we're done, because we were just awful, and we just didn't connect, did we? I know Richie hit the bar, he skimmed the bar, didn't he, in the first half of the free kick, but there wasn't really anything going for us, and obviously the 2 goals that Palace scored were, they were defendable. It was just stupid defending again, and you think about it, Holgate and Keane at the back, fears, I wouldn't dream of that right now or ever again. But yeah, the second half, we sat down, second half, Stu, and I'll say the player that changed the game was Dele Alli.
Absolutely. He ran it in the middle, didn't he? He was so good. He was absolutely brilliant. What a time to do it. And he had his injury issues and we didn't get the full games out of him in the end. And a bit sad really, but he rolled back the clock there. That was like a Spurs-esque performance. He ran it in the middle. He linked everything up, and it did turn the game. A lot of people say about Frank Lampard's time, it was just a bit too much for him, wasn't it? But he managed this. This was just tactically second half performance, unbelievable. DCL again, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, fantastic header, and just great memories. But left it to the final home game, like I said, not knowing that the Arsenal game. We knew we weren't going to get anything away at Arsenal. So
he played well against Arsenal, Stu. In that last game, I think Donny van der Beek got his first and only goal. I think he played got injured after the first game, so I think he played 2.5 games. He got his first goal. I don't think many of the players made the trip. I think Lampard made a massive change. I think they probably all were hungover from this aftermath of when that final whistle went. It's something that you will never forget, and I think everybody who's ever been to Goodison on a great escape season. 94s, the 97s, when we went against Palace and again to Corey a few seasons ago. It's mad to say, we want to win the trophy and you want to experience that height of, winning something. But when the pressure's on and the passion of people at this football club and the fans, I don't think you'd ever see something like that ever again. In the case of how everyone was so ecstatic when that final whistle went, it was amazing.
All my videos got lost, didn't they? I was gutted yesterday. Here we are at a time, of course. People invaded the pitch. When the third goal went in, there was mega problems about that. We were panicking, thinking we were going to get hit with point predictions. But it's amazing. In the Gladys Street there, we were sat in the Upper Gladys, of course.
Yeah, we did, yeah. And no better place, Stu, to sit in that game is sitting in the Grand Old Ladies, best part of the ground is the Gladys Street, and we both know that. And obviously everyone has different opinions, but I always love going to Gladys Street because it is always amazing. And that situation, Stu, I think Stu had to throw me. Well, not throw us out. Tell me and you and Gary to get away now and go out. I think we sat there for about an hour longer, didn't we? Just watching everything.
Yeah, you have to wait in Stanley Car Park anyway. It's gridlocked.
Yeah.
How many times are you in Stanley Car Park? I don't know what it's going to be like down at Bramley-Moore Dock. They're saying about different ways of getting in and out, but yeah. we wanted to savor it, and it did make me laugh on the tour the other day. The boxes. Them boxes, the roof, and it was telling you keep off the roofs. Obviously, when we won that game against Palace, Bellew was up there with Lampard on that roof, wasn't he? It just made me laugh. It just made me laugh seeing that. It was like, they're all on that roof.
Remember? You actually see them get told of it by one of the stewards, get off. And that was Frank Lampard on the top of the roof for that. But it was so important.
He did save us. He did save us. He really did. It was in a tough time. I think it was just a bridge too far, the Premier League management for him. Again, last night with Coventry, Sunderland get a late goal in that semi-final second leg they've gone through.
But situation all over again. I did see that this morning.
He meant well. He meant well with it.
Yeah, too much for him. Yeah. But I also think, Stu, I'm not going to discredit Frank Lampard that season. But I think a lot of us as supporters pulled Everton through the shit that season. The welcome buses, the blue flares everywhere. Like the fans did so much, and 1878 people have to shout them out. They did so much that season as well, as much as they've done, since then. And obviously last 2 weeks ago against Ipswich. But it was amazing, Stu. Amazing to the point we survived. I think we both all three of us said we don't want to go through this again, and unfortunately we did.
It became a recurring theme, didn't it? And again, it was just it was the board. Everyone was against the board. With good reason, of course. Mismanagement. Again, looking on a positive, the Freakins. Hopefully, we can get through and into pastures new. The murky waters have been tough, man. It's been hard every season. It's been so repetitive.
Exhausting.
And I was looking at it. If Moyes had done the 38 games on his points average now, we'd be around 7th or 8th in that league on what he's done so far in his 17 games. So, he knows what to do. He knows how to get the most out of players. There's going to be a lot of movement, of course. They need to get people off the wage bill.
Yeah.
Decore going on the podcast. He's done 2, hasn't he? He's done Toffee TV. He's done Ben Foster's. He's done the Fozcast. I know, obviously, the club have allowed him to do it. I don't understand why he'd go on talking about a matter like that, about wages, contract. He wants more money. He ain't going to get it. He was overpaid anyway.
He's too old for that. What's he on now? 130 grand?
Yeah. And that was the Moshiri era, where they were just throwing money and wages at him willy-nilly. That's actually not Decore's fault. But now he's obviously looking at it. Well, I don't want to take a pay cut. So I am trying to look at it from his point of view, but we're looking at players now. And we need to have players sub 100 grand a week, really.
But it's not just, there is just that. The wages are a pivotal thing. But if you remember when Moyes was here the first time around, he didn't like giving big contracts or longer years to the players that were getting older. To put it nicely, I don't mean it disrespectfully, but if you remember rightly, he wasn't keen on giving more than a year to aging players. And Decore, look, he'll always be remembered for the goals he scored. The goal most definitely against Bournemouth to keep us up. The goals, the goals he scored when he's played this season as well. One against Nottingham Forest. Listen, he won't be forgotten if he does go, and we'll be very thankful. But we're not paying that wages now. Those times with the likes of Michael Keane, Holgate, all getting extensions and getting up to almost 100 grand. No, not happening. And the same for Calvert-Lewin as well. Unfortunately, and I said this to Jim Corrigan when he was on with us on Monday. Check that out as well. That's everywhere. But we spoke about Calvert-Lewin, Stuart, and we both agreed that we've experimented now with Beto, which again, Stuart, you mentioned about Moyes making plays better. He's done fantastic with Beto. But we don't need Calvert-Lewin, and that's my opinion, and that's Jim's opinion. That there are our own opinions. Everyone can have their own. We've shown that we don't need Calvert-Lewin. Beto's done a fantastic job.
His injuries have eat back in this year. Dyche had him playing more. That's one thing I'll say for Dyche. He played a lot more football under Dyche, but he's now gone back into that injury bracket all the time. We've got Chimiti there as well, don't forget. Again, we will need another striker. There's no two ways about it. We need competition for places. We've spoken about the full-back areas need strengthening. Yes. I would say, depending on who goes, midfield isn't as bad. Once everyone's fit, he's actually got options. Let's get Alcaraz tied down. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, 100%. He showed how he's worth on the weekend, Stu.
What a performance in the second half when he moved off the wing and went into the 10. Linking it with Beto, as they did against Palace when we won.
Yeah, again,
There's food for thought, but there's people there. He gets it. Alcaraz gets it. The fans love him. He loves the fans. You can tell he understands it. And you've got to have that. You have to have that. You have to have your bloodthirsty players who... You want players who are playing for the shirt again, don't we? We need that.
100%. And he's never settled, Stuart, as Alcaraz. If you look at his times at clubs, he's never settled. He's moved from Southampton, Flamengo, Juventus. He's only, 22? He's looking for a place for... he's looking for a home. And I think he's shown enough. For 12 million, that's a snippet. And you give him longer. If you have a pre-season with David Moyes, which I think will change him again, I think he'll end up being a good player. And I like having McNeil, Njai, and Alcaraz. Whenever you ever play, Stuart, when we played away, that can do things like that. We haven't for a very long time. We've got that little bit more that can change a game.
Definitely, 100%. Obviously, they're looking at it. The ones that are meant to be coming away, I looked at a list. They can shave that wage bill by $500,000 a week.
Right.
I know you spoke to Jim about Harrison. He's just not up to it. I'm afraid you've got to have end product. You've got to be able to
it's not
cross
the
a
same
ball
player.
off that wing. You've got to come in with goals. You've got to chip in with goals.
You want pace.
We've got a core. We've got a core in the middle. He needs to sort the fullbacks out, and he needs another striker. They're the three key areas going forward. But great talking about the memories there of Everton games. We've got countless more, and I'm sure over time, we'll come back to games that we went to from yesteryear, because Goodison is still going to be used. Okay, the senior squad are going to Bramley-Moore Dock. So amazing news on that front. But love this. Absolutely love this, reminiscing about our times at the Grand Old Lady. And this has been Everton Week of the show of football and now. And next week, we've got a Europa League preview next Wednesday, the finals next Wednesday. We are looking for the United fan to come on with us next Wednesday morning. We have got John Scott on the Tottenham side. He'll be ready. He's going to come on with us. We are actively we're searching for a United fan to come on the show. A friend of ours can't do it, unfortunately, because of work commitments. If you're a United fan and you can hold your own, you can come on, you feel confident coming on a podcast, we'd love to have you on ahead of a fantastic Europa League final. And a Champions League spot is in the offing after such a poor domestic season from both clubs. But, this is huge, isn't it, on next Wednesday?
Yeah, considering we could have ended up with that in the Champions League, but PSG obviously had other ideas. I have posted out on our X account on Football Then and Now's X account, Twitter, and I can't do it, on our Twitter page. I've posted out about a Manchester United fan to come on, and Stuart's right. If you're comfortable and you're knowledgeable and you're up for a good conversation and good banter as well, obviously, because me and Stuart probably get ripped because we are Everton fans, but we'd love to have someone jump on, have a conversation with John, a bit of banter of how you feel the game's going to go, and it's great to have two British teams in the final again. Obviously, we've got Chelsea, Stuart, who are in the conference.
Absolutely. Can't forget them. We'll have to preview that as well, because it's Betis, of course. Betis have been strong. It's a good, great to see the English clubs in the finals. Just a shame about the Champions League, as we've said.
Yeah.
But you're right there. Yeah, my mistake on that one. We will cover Chelsea and Betis ahead of that as well. I don't know if that's the following week, so it might be episode 60 potentially. I think it is the week of the Champions League final. They're playing midweek, I think, if memory serves. Right. But we'll have to give that some coverage as well. And just thank you to everybody. Thank you to the Sports Social Podcast Network as well for housing all our audio content. If you've got a podcast and you're not affiliated with anyone, please think about joining them. We can get you in touch with them. Any sport as well, not just football. 550 podcasts and counting on the Sports Social Podcast Network, Chris. And as Chris always says, they've looked after us so well. And thank you to them guys. And great, this has been great doing Everton Week ahead of Goodison Park going. We'll not go in a senior sense.
Yeah, it is for the men's team, Stu. And when I was talking to my mates about when we were doing this, and I said to Jim on Monday, I was like, this goes against our rules, really. When we set out for this to do this podcast, we knew we were going to talk about Everton because we're passionate and we love our club, but we didn't want to spend too much time talking about them. We want to spread the love for every club, no matter what division, what country you're in.
Absolutely.
But this is so important, and it's a very pivotal change in our football club's sort of life, because they've not done this since they had Anfield. So this is a big story. You've seen Sky have obviously done a bit and pieces for it, and I'm sure a lot of Everton podcasts and other podcasts probably will make comments or do a bit on it. But it's one of them where I'm glad we've done it, Stu, and we give it the rub of the green, as you should say.
Absolutely.
And we've, like I said, we've had memories and we've loved and cherished every moment of Goodison. I'm excited, Stuart, for Bramley-Moore and where the future takes us under hopefully great chairman, and more money to spend, more money coming for the club. And up to Toffees.
Absolutely. All the best to the boys on Sunday, the final game against Southampton. If you've got a ticket, just enjoy it. We know you will.
Yes.
We wish we were there. We will be there in spirit, of course. We'll be watching Sunday. We're getting together, of course. And let's hope it's a win. And who will be the one to score the last goal? Hopefully it'll be an Everton player that does it, of course. And just a big win, and we can just keep at 13th where we're at now in the league, and just so many great memories. And thank you so much to the listeners and viewers, of course. And we'll see you for episode 59, the Europa League final preview. Man United versus Spurs next week from Bilbao. United are going back to Bilbao. So we'll give that the rub next week. And thank you very much, Chris.
All right, up the toffees.
Bye.
Football then and now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.